How's it going, metalheads, and welcome back to another video. Yeah, this is one I've been working on for a little bit here. If you saw my post about a week ago, I think I said that I was going to be working on a Funebrarum deep dive. So here we are. This is that video. Yeah, let's just jump right into it. They're a really interesting topic to talk about. Also, shout out to my friend Ty Loves Testament. They were wearing their leather jacket in the video, so I decided to, rep mine as well, because I think leather jackets are awesome. But yeah, that's just where that came from. But anyway, yeah, let's talk about Funebrarum. So they're a death metal band from Clifton, New Jersey. They formed in 1999. They're a very interesting topic, like I said, because while no official hiatuses or breakups have ever been announced over their 20-year career, very few releases have filled those years up. They would form in 1999, and in 2000 they would release their first demo, simply titled Rehearsal Promo 2000. It would feature vocalist Daryl Cahan, who remains the band's only original member, consistent member, whatever you want to call it, as well as current Evoken bassist David Wagner, past Evoken guitarist Nick Orlando, current Seasick drummer Brian Jimenez, and guitarist Dan Dornbeerer. And it was self-released on cassette by the band. So yeah, they would release their first demo in 2000 with that lineup, with Daryl Cahan being the only member of that lineup still remaining. Two more demos would follow in the same year in 2000, entitled Triumphant Ascent and Tombs of Sleeping Darkness. Triumphant Ascent would see the band shrink to a three-piece, with vocalist Cahan returning, and also Nick Orlando on guitars, teaming with new drummer Dario Dema, sorry if I mispronounced your name, who would also mix and engineer this release, and it was limited to a 50 cassette run by the band. I'm getting all this off of Metal Archives, by the way, so if any of this is wrong, I apologize. That's where I pulled my info from, because it's, a really good resource. But I'm not saying it's right by any means. I'm just saying that's where a lot of it is. And then Tombs of Sleeping Darkness would see the return of bassist David Wagner, as well as drummer Sean Eldridge and guitarist Matt Medeiros. Eldridge currently plays in Ruinous alongside Medeiros and also Wailing. So yeah, some pretty cool bands there. Keep moving here. They would release their debut album on Necroharmonic Productions in 2001, entitled Beneath the Columns of Abandoned Gods. 5 songs encompassing a total of just over 30 minutes. This album featured 4 members of the original demo, which are Cahan, Wagner, Orlando, and Jimenez. Vocalist Daryl Cahan would be responsible for the cover art, which I think is really cool. I think when bands do their own cover art, it's super awesome. And yeah, I think that's definitely something that every band should, at least try. Because while also using other art is cool, at the very least, use some like human-made artwork. AI art is bullshit, at least for cover art. So yeah, I think it's really cool that he does the cover art for their releases, or at least some of them. There were 2 pressings, at least 2, that I know about on CD by Necroharmonic, each of 1,000 copies. This album is just grimy, disgusting death metal with a doomy edge to it. I really like it. Definitely a lot of like early Autopsy vibes on here and some Morbid Angel. If you turn up the gross riffs and the doomy atmosphere, killer stuff. This album was a huge hit in the underground. However, the band did not tour heavily in support of the album because a lot of the members are in different projects, and that remains to this day, that they're involved in a lot of different bands. So they were not able to tour in support of the album, or at least play a lot of shows. And I looked on whatever I could find, concert archives, whatever. They've played like less than 40 shows, and I've been a band for over, 20 years now, which is pretty crazy. So I just thought that was an interesting fact. They don't play a lot of shows, so if you get to see Funebrarum, go do it, because, it's a pretty rare occurrence. They would return in 2003 with a 2-song EP entitled Dormant Hallucination. And again in 2007 on a split with Swedish death metalers Interment, which are also an awesome band. The split, entitled Conjuration of the Sepulchral, would see the return of drummer Sean Eldridge and guitarist Nick Medeiros. There's a lot of flip-flopping of members coming back and coming out and whatever of the band, and with a band that's kind of slow rolling with releases as this, it kind of makes sense. The same lineup would return in 2009 with Funebrarum's second album, The Sleep of Morbid Dreams. Released by Cyclone Empire, it continued their exploration of a raw-sounding, massive wall of death metal. So yeah, pretty much just a continuation of their first sound, at least to me, that's what it sounded like. But I still love it. Funebrarum is an awesome band. I just, recently got into them. That's why I'm making this video, because I thought they were an interesting topic, and I just recently started listening to them. But I've heard their name a lot. So yeah, I love their sound. It's super awesome. In 2011, so that being 2 years after the release of their second album, they would play one of their biggest shows to date. I think still to this day it's one of their biggest shows, being featured in the lineup of the 9th edition of Maryland Death Fest. If you don't know Maryland Death Fest, it's one of the primary metal festivals in the United States, at least, and specifically death metal. There's not too many other genres on the bill. It's usually mostly death metal bands, which is super awesome. I'd love to hit up MDF sometime. I'm just a broke teenager and can't at the moment, but I will get there one day, because MDF is awesome. I watch a lot of live sets and stuff from that, so that's pretty cool that they were able to play that one year. The band would wait until 2012 to return, coming back with a 2-song split with Undergang entitled The Dead of Winter. It would be new guitarist Alex Book's first contribution to the band. So again, sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of these names, but yeah, it was his first release that he played on. Another split with Interment, the same guys they just did a split with earlier, would come in 2016, this time with Baltimore's Putresect, also contributing 1 song, which is pretty cool. I like when multiple bands do something together. 2-song splits are cool, but if you have more than 3 or 4 bands on there, like I have a CD of Split Torso Trauma, which has 5 bands on it, I think that's pretty cool. It would see Funebrarum with an almost entirely new lineup, save for vocalist Kahan. Mutant Supremacy bassist Kyle Winslow would join on bass, where he remains currently. Drummer of Ascended Dead and many other projects, Charlie Corin, would handle drums, where he also remains currently. Ex-Cauterized guitarist Sam Osborne is another current member featured on this release. And ex-Trepanation guitarist Yuri Kahan is the only member of this release not currently in the band. So yeah. Also in 2016, they would release a 4-song EP entitled Exhumation of the Ancient. Released by Dementia Records. It was the last release to feature Yuri Kahan on guitars, as I mentioned. It would be the last new music from Funebrarum for quite some time, as all the members are involved in a number of other projects. Drummer Charlie Corin plays in a number of projects, most notably Ascended Dead, like I said, also Decrepacy and Chthonic Deity. Bassist Kyle Winslow also plays in Mutant Supremacy, and current guitarist Felipe Tugas is involved with a number of projects as well, most notably First Fragment, Worm, and Cosmic Atrophy. So all these other musical endeavors, I'm sure, were a big reason with the gaps, between Funebrarum releases. It's probably pretty hard being in a number of bands. I don't know, I'm not in any bands, but I can assume that, not everybody can be Phil Anselmo and do 7 records at a time. So I assume that's one of the big reasons for, their sporadic touring schedule and also their sporadic, release schedule. But in 2026, this year, Funebrarum is making their return. Their 3rd studio album is set to release on May 29th, entitled Beckoning the Void of Eternal Silence, which is an awesome title, and I really dig it. It marks the first Funebrarum album in 17 years since 2009, and I was born in 2008, so almost my entire lifetime, we haven't had new Funebrarum. Some of the songs were written years before this release date, with the band commenting in an interview that the first single, Angela Oder Mortuum, The Adepts, is a track they completed while on tour in Mexico several years ago. But preceding the album release will be a 7-inch split EP with Finnish band Pestigore to be released this month in April. So yeah, Funebrarum are making their return, which is super awesome for all us death metal fans. Probably, more so for people who have actually, were around when their first ones released. I mean, I was 1 when their last album released. So, but anyway, super stoked for that. I believe there's 2 singles out right now. They're both awesome. I think the other one's called Rotting Burial Shrouds, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, super awesome that they're returning. But yeah, I just thought that Funebrarum is an interesting topic to talk about, because as well as the fact that they, don't release a whole lot of new material due to the other bands and stuff, they're also not really talked about outside of the underground. I feel like if you're really into death metal and you're a big fan of it, somebody will say Funebrarum, oh, I know exactly who that is, because their albums are a big hit in the underground. But if you go anywhere outside of it, casual fans, whatever, I don't think really anybody's heard of Funebrarum, at least not in my, not very extensive research, but in my research, that's what happens. They're a huge underground band, but not anywhere else, which is kind of interesting. But bands like that are awesome, because death metal especially is a hugely underground genre. So yeah, I'm super stoked for this release. Probably going to pre-order it on CD whenever those open up. I'll put links to all that in the description, because they are an awesome band, and you should go support them. Check out their other albums if you haven't heard those. They're also awesome. I really dig those as well. But yeah, this is kind of a shorter video. I just wanted to do a deep dive on Funebrarum, because I thought they were an awesome band, and it's interesting stuff to talk about. But yeah, hope you're all doing well. Have a nice day. See ya.